Hello, everyone. Very excited to have Revathi Shivakumar on our podcast today. Revathi is India's one of the top independent education consultants, and she is the president of AIIEC, which is the All India Independent Education Consultants Association. She is an IIM Ahmedabad alumni with over 10 years of corporate experience. Revathi is also a leadership coach with over 2,000 hours of leadership coaching experience. And she is a PCC credentialed coach from the International Coach Federation. Revathi, it's always a pleasure to speak with you and welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much, Devesh, and thank you for the kind words. I'm happy to be here.
Superb. So I'll straight away jump into the questions now. And my first question to you is, what is the biggest mistake students make when choosing a college major, and how can they avoid those mistakes?
The biggest mistake that a student would make in choosing a major is in not doing enough homework around the major to know what it is about. Sometimes, my cousin took this major, or my dad suggested, or somebody else suggested, or my friend is doing this major. Okay. They cannot be reasons for you to take up whatever major. You do you. Now, if you are studying in a liberal arts college or in a curriculum where you can go in, say, mentioning a certain major, you will still have flexibility to change it later. But in the more traditional education systems, or even if you're going to the more traditional colleges in India, if you're going to the UK, in many parts of the world, what you're going to study is something that you're committing to even before you go in. And if you have to spend 3 or 4 years there, is it not right that you at least delve into it in some way to see if this is what you want to do? At 17 and 18, you can't have your life answered for you. You don't need to have all the answers, but at least whatever you take up to study, you arrive at either because you have experienced it in some fashion and you want to do that area, or by the process of elimination, if that's what works. I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I'm left with this. But it has to be a thought out decision.
Superb, absolutely. I think I really, for me, it was the process of elimination. I hated a few things, and I came upon the education as something which I love, and I think that's what brought me into this domain. Now, coming into the students' passions or what they're good at, how can a student figure out what they're truly good at when they haven't had much exposure or experience yet?
One is to see academically what are the subjects that come easier to them than most. What are the things that they enjoy doing? More often than not, there is a pattern. Okay. In their free time, what do they like doing? All of that points to some of their interests. Okay. And I hear so many times parents saying, oh, he didn't put in any effort. He's effortlessly doing this in math or in analytical subjects or maybe in languages, slogging a lot, but still struggling with ABC. That does point out to what might come more naturally to a child. And within that, okay, the only way to really know is to have some experiences, explore. There is a wealth of opportunities out there. Okay, you can look at courses online, whether it's a Udemy, Coursera, edX. There are so many platforms that have online courses. Some have nominal payments. You can even audit courses without any payment. You can do some of these online courses. You can look at job simulations online. If there are people and you think you are maybe interested in something, go and have a chat with them. What does your work involve? There are enough resources. What does a chemical engineer do? What does a mechanical engineer do? Okay. What can you do with a history major? There is a lot of information. So read up on all of that. Make notes as you go along. If something stands out to you as, wow, I must look at this further, or oops, there's no way I want to touch it with a barge pole, because it will go into the elimination bucket, right? And speak to people. See if you can do some job shadowing. See if you can do some internship. unpaid internship if people around you are willing to give you an opportunity. There are so many ways in which you can explore a subject. So I would
Yeah.
say that you should do it outside of school. And even within school, if there are clubs around the subject areas,
Yeah.
be a part of it outside your academics. Speak to your teachers. They're dying for students who are engaged and want to come and ask questions. Speak to your teachers. Maybe if you do like competitions, participate in competitions around that area. Even the preparation for it will tell you how much you like it. The only way to know if you like something is by trying it out. And good or not, good can also come with practice. Okay, I must add here, for a child, math might come easily. Okay, but the child might be scoring 80%. Then does it mean the child is good at math or bad? Because somebody else, many in the class could be scoring 100%. Then you have to see in the context of the preparation. With zero prep, if it's 80%, with just some prep, where could the child be? So what are the subjects they are naturally drawn to, where in the context of effort, they are doing well? That could give an idea of interest or, a natural aptitude, and then exploring the different areas and doing job simulations, etc., job shadowing and courses, talking to people, all of that will give them some insights.
Absolutely. When I speak with some parents, I tell them your role as a facilitator to make sure your kids have access to opportunities. Yeah. But parents often have strong opinions. How should students balance their own interests with the parental expectations?
See, the parental expectations largely comes from from a position of anxiety, right? It's rooted in love and anxiety for the child's well-being and future success, right? It is not an adversarial position. Okay. Parents need, sometimes it could be also unfulfilled aspirations. Parents' own unfulfilled aspirations. I think parents need to take a step back and see the child for who they truly are and what would best serve the child. Okay. And if they are speaking with you, if they are speaking with me, if they are speaking to school teachers, they will also get a sense of what the child is really drawn to, what the child is good at. And that is something they must encourage and not thrust preconceived notions into child. Unlike in the ancient olden days, when, there were only 3-4 set paths for success. Today, things are different. If you like biology, it doesn't mean you have to become a doctor. There are so many amazing opportunities in the field of biosciences. And that is true for almost every subject area. So they can speak with professionals to understand more. Because when a parent is well informed, when they know that there are multiple pathways to success, they will be at ease. Today, they are anxious because they want their child to succeed and they think there may be a preset way. And from a child's point of view, it is good to listen to what your parents have to say. Don't dismiss it just because it's your mom or dad saying it. There's nobody who cares for you more. There's nobody who's in your corner more. At least explore it. Give it some thought and explore it. And then have a chat with them to say what works for you and what doesn't.
Absolutely. They have been through this journey. And in Hindi there is a saying, "Ghar ki murgi dal barabar." I always say that. But I think you're totally right. At least listening to them absolutely would make a difference, and
Absolutely.
they would gain an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Now, you spoke about experience. You spoke about students could go do internship. They could do courses to explore what they should be studying. But what role do aptitude tests or career assessments play in helping the students decide their path?
Okay. Uh, Aptitude test basically helps a child figure out what their aptitude is. Okay. If a child uh, is completely, I must confess, I'm not a fan of aptitude assessments. I'm a big believer in interest-based assessments because I believe where there's interest, attention will follow. For a child who's doing really well academically, okay, there's aptitude across multiple areas. Okay. For a child who's not doing too well, sometimes it's more about motivation, time management. Okay. I know it is controversial for me to say it, but it's my personal belief. I'm not dissing aptitude assessments, but in my experience, interest-based assessments have done wonders for kids. I am credentialed in the strong interest inventory, and that combined with an MBTA, for example, both it is an assessment which brings out the subconsciously interests of the child in so many ways. It uses the Holland's codes, RAISEC model. It can also weave in the child's personality. Okay, so many things. And the kids have been amazed. But Reva, auntie, how is this coming out like this? I said, this is not a crystal ball. It's based on how you answer. And I know there are people who've also woven in aptitude with some of these, and their reports are supposed to be very good. I've not personally looked at it. I think where a child is very unclear, a psychometric assessment definitely can help the child. But it cannot be just a report generated and left to the child. Whoever's administering the assessment has to have a coaching conversation with the child around the report and then help them come to a plan of action, because any assessment is based on the mind frame with which they answer the assessment. It can also be, the answers can change during the coaching conversation. So we have to make those amendments. Okay. And they can establish context. They can help the child get to know their blind spots. They can help the child get to know some of their fears. It may have aha moments where they say, hey, I kind of thought, I've never even thought about it, but this makes sense. It's like a light bulb going off. So for a child who's very unclear, psychometric assessments can be extremely useful. One has to just make sure they are internationally validated, reliable assessments, because it cannot be something that you and I can also sit with an AI tool or even otherwise generate our own assessment. But it's good to go. There are many assessments in India, also very good assessments that many people like Mindler and others have. Go with a reliable, tested assessment. And if you're very unclear, please go for it, because it can give you a context and a frame of reference. It doesn't limit you. It becomes the starting point for exploration.
Okay, fantastic. No, that's very helpful, and thanks for that candid feedback. So, Reva, we are almost coming towards the end of the session now, and my final question to you is: for a student who is confused between two, three options, what's a practical way to move forward without regret?
It depends on what the options are, Devesh. Okay. Now, if a child, and again, it depends on which country they are studying in. Because if it's a liberal arts system, they can go explore and then figure out and decide. If they're looking into a more fixed system, I would say take the one. If you're equally undecided, take the one that leaves you with more options later. Suppose a child is interested, say, in business and finance, but also loves engineering. Okay, and doesn't know what to take. End goal is to become an MBA or work in a hedge fund or, an investment bank. If you're very strong with your math, physics, and you love it, I would say take engineering. Because you can do the hedge fund and the other route after your engineering also, because you have the quant skills for that job. And you can do your MBA later. At IIMA, more than half my batch were engineers from the IITs. Okay. At the undergrad level, keep more doors open if you're very confused. That's one. Or try and get into a college even within the country that you're in that gives you some flexibility to explore and declare your majors. And one assurance is that at 17 and 18, no learning or education ever goes waste. Today, we don't know what jobs will be relevant 20, 30 years down the line. what you can do is equip yourself with the skill sets, the resilience, and the ability to pivot no matter what the job scene is. So equip yourself with those skills. Okay. And if you end up doing a major that later you think is not really the major for you, you should have done something else, all is not lost. It's an increasingly interdisciplinary world, and you can pivot later. From an investment banker to a coach to a student counselor, I have pivoted. If I can, so can you.
Wow, fantastic. That's such a great practical piece of advice. Number one is uh, look at a course which would open more doors for you. Number two is, of course, uh, if possible, look at a college which would let you be a little more flexible and fluid with what you finally decide. And third is, of course, this is just the very beginning of your career. Even whatever learnings that you have, it's all going to be helpful for you in the future.
Absolutely.
Superb. Thank you so much, Shiva. It was such a pleasure to have you on this podcast today, and it's always great to learn from you and hear your insights on this topic.
Thank you, Devesh. It's a topic very dear to my heart. I love students, and I think it's so exciting to be a part of their journey, and thank you for having me.
Superb. Thank you.
Thank you.